Hey everybody, Mark over here at Twanger's Turntable. I hope this finds you all well. Yes, I'm back for another video. That's like two videos in the last 24 hours. I'm pushing some kind of record. Speaking of records and pushing for things, the reason I'm here today, did I say I hope you're all doing well? Pardon me if I forgot that. That's important. I do sincerely hope you are all doing well. I've been gone for a while, but yeah, getting back into the groove of things. But the reason I'm here today, as I mentioned, is for our buddy Mike over at MGK Boston, who actually lives in Buffalo. So figure that one out. Those who know Mike know, and if you have been to my channel before, I'm sure you know Mike. But he's pushing for a trillion. Him and Patty and Colton over there. They got some. I don't know, some fairly realistic expectations, I suppose. I mean, geez, we're something like 8 zillion people on the planet here. So what's a few trillion or two? So I want to jump on this. In fact, I printed this thing off probably shortly after he announced the contest. A celebration. I mean, come on, celebrate a trillion. It's not every day you get to do that. So I watched his updated video there today with Colton, kicking back with some Coney Hatch, some good old Canadian boys, and really wanted to get on this. Like I say, it's been a crazy time here, and as my buddy Steve said over at the AS for Alice there, that it was the words I was looking for in my last video. It breaks up. It's a distraction from things that have been not so pleasant. It's something we all have to go through. But I digress. Here for Mike and his push to a trillion. So yeah, I've got the questions listed here. I'll leave a link to Mike's channel for those who are not familiar with his channel for some unknown, profound reason. But I'll leave a link, and so let's get to it. The first question he's got here is a vacation. Number one, out of 10 questions. Number one, a vacation. Where do you like to go? And if you haven't been there, where would you go? So being an islander, I love to go back home when I get a chance, back to Prince Edward Island, on happy occasions. We were just back, unfortunately, from, like I said before, my mom's funeral. She passed. But you know what? It's we're a fairly Irish family and Scottish, and it's a celebration of her life. She went so gracefully. It was amazing to be there with all the family, and as she would have wanted. So it was very special. So PEI, I love to go there when I get a chance. Anywhere on the East Coast, anywhere in Canada for that matter. But I chose Prince Edward Island and Alberta. Alberta is like my second home. I lived there for so many years. I was there for I went out there. I was there for about 30 years, essentially, 25, 30 years. So those are my favorite. And if a place I could go to that I haven't been to would be over in the UK or Europe, anywhere in Europe, and Japan. Japan, I'd love to go to Japan. There was just been places I've always thought about going. Next question. That's it for number one. Next question. Two, name a solo artist everyone seems to love, but you can't stand. I mean, there's a lot. I try to keep a positive spin on what I present here at Twanger's Turntable, so it's hard to. I don't want to pick on anybody, single anyone out, but in the spirit of MGK, I will choose maybe, I don't know, somebody like Michael Bublé or whatever. I just, that's not my bag. I don't like. Whenever I hear it, it's just like it's quick change of channel or something. Mind you, I don't listen to radio much, but I've heard enough. I've heard samples. That's all I need to hear. So anyway, that's one. I could pick many. Same goes for the next one. Question number three: name a band that everyone seems to love, but you can't stand. I just went with Oasis. I mean, that's the low-hanging fruit, but that just doesn't do it for me. I just just doesn't. There's so many I could have gone with, but again, in the spirit of MGK, I just chose Oasis. That was an easy one for me. First one that came to mind, so pretty intuitive. Number four, show a jazz album. So I went with The Bridge by Sonny Rollins. I probably, honestly, the only jazz album I have in my collection, so that was an easy choice. Number five, show a country and western album. Also, probably the only country album I can think of. Now, Some people have considered John Prine country. I don't. It's more of a folk kind of music to me. Some people have said that maybe even the Eagles, early Eagles, is borderline country, and yeah, there's an argument could be made for that, but it's not for me. So, but I went with one of my dear mom's favorites, and I know Mike will appreciate this one, George Jones. It's the greatest hits. Unfortunately, it doesn't have probably his best song on here. I don't think it does. I can't say I'm all that familiar with it, but I don't think it has He Stopped Loving Her Today. No, but it's got some on here that I'm definitely familiar with because my mom was a huge George Jones fan, and so we had lots of that spinning in our home as I was growing up. So yeah, nothing wrong with some George Jones. So that's, like I say, probably the only country album I have. No, I just thought of another one. Another one that my sister used to listen to a lot was Ronnie Millsap. I guess that's country, right? So that'd be another one. And I guess you could argue Steve Earle is country. Well, can't argue. I mean, that's pretty much country, isn't it? So I've got Route 66, I think I've got, and Copperhead Road. But anyway, that's about it for that. Next question. 6, who is your favorite sports team or athlete of all time? Well, honestly, don't do a lot of sports watching these days, but after so many years in Calgary, I mean, even before I moved there, I was a Flames fan. I think I was converted back in the early 80s, probably 86, as they were playing. My brother was a huge Habs fan. I've got uncles that are huge Habs fan, but to me, it was almost, it was ABC, you know, anybody but the Canadians. So I don't know. I don't really follow it that much anymore, and the team is not faring so well right now. Who knows? Being in a different time zone, I don't get to watch them. In the last few years, it's really dropped off. I had the NHL Network for the longest time, and even this is the first year I don't even subscribe to that anymore. Times are a-changing. But yeah, it would be the Flames. I mean, Lanny McDonald, I still remember that 89 winning in the Forum, and Lanny, he's just, yeah, you know, an old Meat Belief and an old Colorado Rockies player. Anybody who watch hockey will know Lanny McDonald. Number 7, share a concert memory. So this one, to me, the first thing that jumped to mind is I've been to a few, and there's certainly some special ones with my bestie that we went to see Brian May and Guns N' Roses and Metallica, Van Halen, Alice in Chains, a lot of bands that we really were on our list, Iron Maiden. But I just remember this one. It was in a small venue back home in PEI in Summerside, a little town in Prince Edward Island. And it was a little bar. It was a converted theater, the Regent, and Prism and Trooper were playing there. And my buddies, and I got to see my lifelong one of my best friends, Mike, back home. We went to see them, him, I, and Scott, and there was a few others. And after the show, we ended up going back and partying with the guys from Prism and Trooper, and so it stands out. I mean, it was great. We had a really good time. We did a similar thing with Kim Mitchell. He was there. This is after Max Webster. He was there. So it was a pretty wild time back as a teenager. That would have been, geez, 85, 84, 85, somewhere in there. So technically not really of age, but back then that never stopped a lot of us in a small place. We managed to get into places sometimes we shouldn't have. Anyway, that's it. That's my great concert memory. There's many, so I just picked that one because it was one of the only ones I ever got to actually hang out with, to me at the time, legit musicians, right? So yeah. Number 8, shout out a newer vinyl community channel. Brian, another Brian in the VC over at Back in the Groove. I mentioned Brian before. Probably before the new year, I think I discovered Brian's channel. He was just getting back into vinyl, or is. He's got lots of great old metal albums and stuff from the early 80s. Very relatable to what I listened to back then, but he had his in storage for many years. A similar story to mine, although I didn't have nearly the collection he does. But go check out Brian, Back in the Groove. Very knowledgeable dude as well about his collection, and I was watching a video of his this morning about allegedly one of the biggest record stores in the UK, or maybe it's in Britain. England, sorry. I don't know, but he was going through the store. It was pretty massive. Go check out Brian at Back in the Groove. Great channel that I enjoy, and I think when I checked, he was less than 100 subs. So yeah, fairly new channel. Show an album by a Canadian artist. Well, I went with Pat Travers, and I've got 3 of his albums and always enjoyed his stuff. And of course, he's got one of my all-time favorite drummers on this album, Nico, who recently retired from Maiden. And of course, his other stuff also has Tommy Aldridge, another one of my favorite drummers. But yeah, that was an easy one. I was going to go with Max Webster because I was just talking about them in context to favorite concerts and whatnot with Kim Mitchell. But I went with Pat Travers because of Nico, in honor of Nico's retirement, hanging up the sticks. And number 10, Happy Birthday, show an album that was released the year you were born. Low hanging fruit again, but I went with this one, the White Album. At certain times, my favorite Beatle album. Other times, it's too hard to choose. But I just went with that one because it was the first one that came to mind for 1968. And so that wraps up the 10 questions for Mike's Push to a Trillion. Again, if you have not been to Mike's page, his channel, you know what I'm saying, go and sub him up, give him a like, jump on the contest, help him get to that trillion. It's not that far off. I think today when I was watching, he was up to 900 and some billion. So, you know, within range, certainly. And the cutoff is Valentine's Day, which is, I guess it's the coming Friday. The next Friday that comes will be the 14th. So there's still time, about a week. And that's it, though. Great contest, Mike. Good to be back. Look forward to doing some more interactions with you guys that I haven't seen in a while. And there's a couple more here I want to jump on that I've had my eye on since I've been away. I've still managed to watch some videos and very little comments, but I always manage to like. If I watch a video, I like it. Don't necessarily have to comment. If you have something to say, please leave a comment. Feel free. Be cordial when doing so. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. I don't push that too hard. It's whatever. It doesn't cost anything, but it's whatever floats your boat. That's gonna do it though. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for being supportive to all. And I hope to see you again soon here at Twanger's Turntable. But until then, like I say, take care and cheers. Good luck, Mike, to the trillion.